Celtics crushed in Toronto. Duke can't get itself off the map without Zion. Let's get right into it. Teddy, Duke stumbles versus Virginia Tech without Zion. We have Zion watch. When is he coming back? Well, could have helped him last night. Duke actually was down just about. I watched the game, Teddy. Just about down the entire game. Pulled close. Rate gets that tie game. Minute 30 or so left in the game. Virginia Tech hits a big three. Goes on to cash that underdog ticket, which closed at plus 3.5.
Sure, and I'll give Virginia Tech a lot of credit last night. They played a really good game, and obviously Ty Outlaw hit the three-pointer that mattered most at the end of the contest to seal the deal for the Hokies. This is the end of February. It tends to be a tough time in college basketball, even for elite teams. Everyone's a little bit gassed. Everyone's looking forward to conference tournaments and the big dance coming up next month. And this little stretch right here, sometimes you see some flat efforts. Duke, not at their best last night, but the Hokies played well enough to take that game.
Yeah, Duke looking to bounce back on Saturday versus the Miami Hurricanes. Lost another stunner yesterday to a horrible Wake Forest squad, still looking for their first road win in the ACC. Want to talk a little bit about, futures, so to speak, here on Duke and what we're looking at. The one good thing about the NCAA is, seeding does matter. It's a one-and-done tournament. We get that. But Duke's sitting currently at plus 225 for the 2019 NCAA title at DraftKings, Teddy. We know, you know what? I shouldn't say that. We think Zion is probably going to come back from reading all the tea leaves out of the Duke locker room, Mike Krzyzewski, and he's not hurt that bad, and he's chomping at the bit to get back. Are you finding maybe some value where Duke's just going to find their legs and maybe use other counterparts of their team to say, you know what? We need you to step up while Zion's gone, and when he comes back, we'll be that much stronger for a March Madness run. What do you think?
Duke deserves to be the favorite. All that being said, there's not a chance in hell I would bet Duke at plus 225 or plus 250 or 3-1 or 4-1 or any team in that price range to win the big dance. All right, there's 351 Division 1A teams, and maybe 20 of them have a shot to go all the way. With those odds, all right, with the money that Duke's taken all year, it's not like the bookmakers are saying, yeah, we want that Duke money now. Oh, we don't need, we're not afraid of Duke, or we don't have enough liability on Duke. They got plenty of Duke liability. They're definitely afraid of a Duke title, and you're not getting true value with any future book odds on the Blue Devils, even with Zion out.
No, you're right. And you always have to keep in mind, too, as well, Teddy. It's, just like the NFL in the playoffs or college football, you're one and done here. You don't get a 7-game series where you say, hey, I'll take Duke at plus 225 because nobody's going to beat them a la Golden State in a 7-game series. So we'll keep an eye on that as it goes here at sportsbookreview.com. Moving on, Teddy, the NFL just keeps giving us gems every single day. And it seems like that topic we talked about yesterday, sometimes when you have all PR is good PR, except for some of the PR that's coming out. Dallas Cowboys can't stay out of their own way, specifically, Teddy, the defensive line. One defensive end facing suspension, one getting suspended, and one D-end looking for a huge extension. The Dallas Cowboys, the gift that just keeps on giving, even in the offseason, Teddy.
Sure, and make no mistake about it. This is an impact situation. The strength of the Cowboys' defense, and Dallas lived and died by their defense last year. That's how they were as good as they were when they were good, was the defense making plays. And the strength of that defense was the front four. When you're talking about Randy Gregory getting now his, fourth suspension, and David Irving, who's going to be a free agent anyway, looking at his third suspension, and then Lawrence trying to get the big contract prior to all of this going down. It's not an optimal situation. Remember, when you're paying one guy, that means you're not paying 2 or 3 others. Dallas, the strength of their defense last year, not likely to be the strength of their defense this year. And oh, by the way, they brought Jason Garrett back.
Yeah, of course. And you see the Dallas Cowboys sit at 25-1 to win the Super Bowl in 2019. Some other things as well. You're always talking about salary cap implications in the NFL. Going to have to pay Dak Prescott coming up. Going to have to pay Ezekiel Elliott coming up. You have a huge tag, obviously, on DeMarcus Lawrence. So something to keep an eye on throughout the offseason. But the one thing I think we should keep an eye on, Teddy, is I think we can start it right here on that betting show. And you know what that is? The Knicks playoff run starts right here and right now. The Knicks, of all teams trying to tank, use a fourth quarter surge to overcome the Orlando Magic, who were favored by 7.5 to win that basketball game. Teddy, your thoughts on the Knicks and their fans upset that they're using fourth quarter surges right now?
remember that the difference between finishing with the worst record in the NBA and the third worst record in the NBA is like two ping pong balls. All right. The NBA has made it their business so that teams don't tank to get an extra ball. And even if you get the ping pong balls, what do you have, like a 12% chance of getting the number one pick? The NBA has it set up, honestly, in a way that the NFL doesn't, where the team that finishes last in the NFL gets the first pick. That's not the way it is in the NBA. Meanwhile, the players that are on the Knicks, the coach that is on the Knicks, they're like, we don't want to lose every game. We're playing for our futures. If the Knicks house clean in the offseason, they bring in 2 new free agents at max deals and get the number 1 overall pick, half these guys are going to be gone and looking for work. It behooves them to win games. And Orlando didn't get the job done. Magic played a great first half last night, went into the halftime with a 5-point lead. I'm like, ooh, this is a problem. And it was. Knicks with the win and cover. This is not the start of a Knicks playoff run. Maybe in 2020, most assuredly not in 2019.
Teddy, time to panic yet? I know it's still, I don't even want to say early in the season, but early enough for the playoffs, about 20 games out. The Celtics last night, getting 3.5 from Toronto, just got obliterated up there. Siakam drops 25-8 in the win. You're hearing the chirps again out of Boston. They got a quick turnaround, which we're going to talk about a little bit later in the show today. Time to maybe push the panic button where maybe some of these guys want out as opposed to wanting in for the playoff run here for the Celtics?
Maybe. I mean, you can press the panic button for Orlando. Their bench shot 2 of 16 last night, allowing the Knicks to win. Boston has the talent level. There are definitely chemistry issues right now. We'll talk about that a little bit more later in the show. We break down the Celtics and the Blazers tonight.
And how about last night, impressive showing by the Denver Nuggets, knocking off Oklahoma City in an impressive display. I think a lot of people forget, Teddy, that this is the number 2 seed in the West, almost flying under the radar and playing really good basketball.
Yeah, the Nuggets are a team that doesn't have superstars, doesn't get on national TV all that often, and people have really overlooked them in the Western Conference. There's a ton to like about Denver in terms of upside in the regular season. There may be a little bit to like about Denver in terms of upside for the postseason. I would not sell that team short, and bettors that sold them short last night, well, they're ripping their bets up at the end of the game.
Heading into March, Teddy, in the Northeast over on my end of the world. You wouldn't know it by the wind and the coldy conditions. But again, another MLB first look, Teddy. We're going to take a look at the Cleveland Indians. And sometimes I look at the Cleveland Indians right now, Teddy, and the best thing I can say about them is, boy, you guys play in a really bad division, and you're going to be able to get through it again this year from the looks of it. Last year, 91-71 in 2018. They head into the 2019 season, 16-1 odds to win the 2019 World Series. Team total, Teddy, listed at 91.5. And obviously, a lot of that has to do with the divisional opponents that you're playing. Get some new looks out there for the Indians. A little bit of a rebirth movement. A lot of guys in and out the door. The Cleveland Indians, though, as I said to start off here, they get the benefit of playing in a bad division. It's not like the Cleveland Indians, you're waking up and going head-to-head with the Red Sox or the Yankees. Should be a decent season, and banking on that pitching staff just mowing down batters in that division, Teddy.
Yeah, I mean, the Indians wake up on opening day, and they've already clinched. I mean, literally, there's no one in the AL Central that's going to battle this team. Even if Cleveland has injuries, they're going to win 85 or 90 games. Last year, things didn't break particularly well for them, and they still won 91 games. There's a big value problem with the Cleveland Indians. This has everything to do with the modern baseball advanced metrics marketplace. All right, we talked about the Indians starting pitching with Kluber and Carrasco and Bauer and Clevenger. That's a 1, 2, 3, 4 that has put up monster numbers, monster advanced metrics. The walk to strikeout ratio, the xFIPs, and literally every advanced metric you're going to find is going to show those 4 guys as being elite. So what happens when you have 4 starting pitchers that are elite? You're minus $2 every day. You're minus 180 every day on average. This team was 20 games over 500 last year. They were a division winner. They finished number 28 in MLB in profitability. You lost 25 units if you bet this great, very good team that was 20 games over 500. You bet them every game. You lost your ass all year. Didn't matter. At home, on the road, on the run line. All right, they rebuilt their bullpen. Great. They'll win a couple more games, maybe by more than 1 run this year. But from a pure value standpoint, this is the type of team that can win 100 games and still lose money for their backers because the prices for those starting pitchers are going to be high and higher and highest. Best news for Indian supporters, if the entire starting rotation gets hurt and the team's still good, you'll make a ton of money with Cleveland. But you'll be laying $2 with all those guys game after game after game, which makes it very, very difficult to make a big profit with the Cleveland Indians in 2019. They are not a bet-on team despite their talent level.
It's crazy, too, because you talk about the same things there, Teddy. Heading down the stretch last year, like making improvements, a really strong bullpen, dominant starting pitching, and a very good hitting lineup. Wasn't profitable last year on a team that won 91 games. We'll keep an eye on it as it goes.